We are Irish side of the moon. Freedom of information, personal empowerment. The Irish side of the moon.
I still have a dream.
There are many sources of energy available.
Everything is energy. My God, do we need this or what? Free our mind.
Corporations have taken over the world.
Freedom of information, personal empowerment. The Irish side of the moon.
Hello, you're welcome to the Irish side of the moon again. Michael at the microphone. This is the fourth of the Lunar modules. It's only been a couple of hours. This is the third one. These are the short shows that I'll be recording and uploading immediately. And between the longer shows, between the 90-minute shows we've been doing for the last few years, which of course will continue every Tuesday as normal. These are shorter ones, taking more topical information and putting it online. I've already done one of these today, and that would normally be it until maybe next week or the end of next week. But this is a story which is very topical, and it affected me in a way. Yesterday I was in the office and the phone rang, which was a surprise because it's a new office, a new location and a new telephone number. I answered the call, and it was not one of the couple of people who actually have that number. It was instead a pre-recorded message about abortion. A lot of people in Ireland received those calls yesterday, and of course there's been a media frenzy around it, and quite rightly so for many reasons. As I stood there yesterday holding the phone in shock, the first thing that crossed my mind was, this is wrong, and whoever this is, they shouldn't have my number. And I hung up before the end of the short message, which I've since heard online. And then I began to think, who could I complain to about this? And then I stepped back and I thought, well, oh, there's the story there. And there are the two kind of questions that occurred to me, and I think will occur to most of you guys who listen regularly to the show. How does somebody get your number? And what do you do about it? I mean, who do you complain to? And in general, I wonder, and is my view of people being skewed somewhat by my contact with the listenership of Irish Side? Because I wonder, are the average people aware of their rights, and are they more aware than normal with regard to what they would have, more aware than what they would previously have been with what their rights are? So I reached out to the Data Protection Commissioner, and I spoke with John Rogers, who is the Senior Investigations Officer there. John, it's late in a Friday evening. I didn't really expect to get anybody this quick, but John was there and he was more than willing to talk, and he really wants to get this information out. So sit back for just a couple of minutes and listen to John Rogers. And I'm on the line right now with John Rogers, Senior Investigations Officer with the Data Protection Commission. John, thank you for making time to speak to the Irish side of the moon this evening.
Problem. No problem.
I reached out to you because somebody reached out to me yesterday, and it was quite unusual, as a lot of people online talking about it today. I got a phone call, which I would best describe, I suppose, as a robotic call, because there was nobody there. And it played a robotic message, a pre-recorded message of a gentleman data dumping information to me about abortion, because sadly it's very much in the news in Ireland at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reaching out to you on the back of that incident because I'm curious, like a lot of people, as to how my number fell into the hands of whatever individual / group is responsible for this recorded message. I'm recently moved to a new location, and nobody has that telephone number that's sitting beside me, because I'm only really, as I say, setting up in a new office, etc. So, John, you're the man to ask. In a situation like this, when we're getting these unsolicited calls for whatever purpose, how are our numbers getting out there?
Well, essentially, this is exactly what we're investigating at the moment. As you probably know, this whole issue arose from around yesterday morning, and we've been investigating it since, and so have our colleagues in Comreg. But essentially, in terms of your number, this is the core issue that we're looking at now. It may be a case that, and so as you described it earlier, it is a robotic call. It is something that's randomly dialing numbers. We want to find out about whether it's just randomly dialing them or has it been fed, say, a list of numbers,
Yes.
A list of Irish numbers. So that's the kind of the key element that we're looking at the moment. It doesn't necessarily mean we think that some person at the other end of the phone actually has your telephone details. It's more of an automated thing altogether.
Well, that's a bit more comforting because, again, this is such a topic of conversation. I had lunch with a friend of mine today. She was talking about an elderly relative of hers who didn't, as far as I know, get a call, but who could do. And some people in that kind of situation, maybe living alone, might be very uneasy and a little afraid if they think that their number is out there. But at least from what you're saying, there is the possibility that it's not numbers that have been sold on. There is still the possibility that it's an automatic dialing, a randomizer.
Yeah, it's possible, but we're investigating both aspects of it. So there could be a database out there somewhere of telephone numbers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they know who's at the other end of the phone, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
It certainly doesn't look like they're just simply picking up the Irish telephone book and dialing people, because we know that people who are ex-directory are getting these calls as well. So there is some kind of randomness to it, and it certainly seems to be countrywide as well. At the moment, it only seems to be affecting landlines as far as we know. And that there hasn't been any calls to mobiles. But again, things have changed even since yesterday, so we're waiting further developments on that.
Okay. Now, as soon as I got the call, I was genuinely shocked because I was processing those. There was about 10 or 15 seconds where I couldn't quite process what was happening.
Yeah,
but then I immediately, my instincts, irrelevant to the actual subject matter, which is very, very much in the news at the moment, the abortion issue, but irrelevant to that, I just instinctively thought to myself, no, this is wrong, there's something wrong here. So I was online, obviously reading stories, and I see that there have been a lot of complaints. Your office has received a lot of complaints. Do you think people are more savvy nowadays about their rights and about knowing right away that this is wrong, that their numbers shouldn't be out there, and that's why you're getting so many calls?
Yeah, I think generally people are more savvy in relation to these matters. Now, having said that, the current issue, it's a highly emotive one. And I think this has really affected people very, very strongly. And I think for that reason we're seeing we've had a deluge of calls here over the past couple of days and complaints. And we're aware that radio stations around the country have had the same. So it's been a huge topic of interest to people and of concern to people. And rightly so. It's like an open wound at the moment, you know.
Yeah, I mean it is, of course, and it's an issue that has affected many people indirectly and directly, and you don't want to hear. I think it's a sad reflection on society anyway if you're going to be bombarded with, as we said, a robotic call, impersonal, for such a crucial issue that is close to people's hearts.
And the indiscriminate way it's been put out as well. I mean, we've had reports of the calls typically seem to be going out around the 7-8 o'clock mark in the evening, and children are picking up the phone and getting this message, and it's upsetting. We've had a lot of mothers, both through the radio stations and directly to ourselves, very upset over this, and again, absolutely understandably so, because children shouldn't be getting out. Children myself, I don't want them getting these kind of calls. So it's been very upsetting to a lot of people.
I hadn't even thought of that. Okay, before I let you get back to work, one more question. In terms of somebody dealing with this, getting a call, or in terms of any general data protection issues, to get through to you guys, you have a website, you have a number. What's the information for getting through to you with a complaint or a query?
Well, a complaint or a query, you can lodge a complaint through our website at info@dataprotection.ie, or you can call us on 057 868 4800. There's one thing I'd like to just say as well, just to add, that from a data protection perspective, there is one difference with this particular issue from what we've seen before. The caller, whoever that may be, does not appear to be seeking any personal information from the caller, which is something that it's a bit of solace, if you like, for consumers. In the past, we have seen these kind of scams where robotic calls are being made, or automated calls are being made, or indeed there could be a person at the other end of the phone and they're seeking to get some sort of personal information from you. We would always advise that if you do not know who the caller is, do not give personal information over the phone, particularly financial information, because that's what's behind a lot of these scams.
Yes, and I know it's not much of a silver lining, but you're right. From what we can see, and obviously haven't heard the message in part myself yesterday, I haven't heard, it's online as well. Like you can just do it. They are not looking for anything, but as you say,
no,
there are other.
But it's the subject matter of this has really upset people, and again, understandably so. Understandably
so. John Rogers, Senior Investigations Officer with the Data Protection Commissioner. Thank you for making time for talking to us on the Irish Side of the Moon.
No problem. Bye now.
We are Irish Side of the Moon. Freedom of information, personal empowerment. The Irish Side of the Moon.
I still have a dream.
This is just a ride. We can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.
Freedom of information, personal empowerment. The Irish Side of the Moon.